that using meditation in a professional or corporate atmosphere possibly devalues it in some way? That using it as a mode of efficiency or productivity could take some of the potential value out of it?
That's a really good question, and I think that the answer to that is no. There's no way really to devalue meditation in any setting. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to be able to practice because meditation brings you into a sense of awareness, and that awareness can be used as a tool, and that can be used in your personal life, it can be used in a work setting. I often use meditation when I'm not really sure. I might sit and have a question, and I'll pose the question, and I'll sit with that, and I'll find that usually the answer comes by the end of that sit. And sometimes it's profound. Sometimes I'm not sure of maybe, should I work with, I have an opportunity to work with this client or this client. Which client would be better in helping me, manifest what I like to do in the world, which is make a difference in the world. And so I need to understand that my values are going to be represented. And a lot of times that will be a feeling that I'll get during my sit. And I'll generally act on that. Now, you also have to use a little bit of brain power at the same time. You want to make an intelligent decision. But meditation is a wonderful tool. It's great for students. I think it's great in a workplace. Corporate culture could actually really benefit from meditation. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
How has meditation impacted the way that you conduct business?
Oh, that's a really good question as well. I always believe that, things do happen for a reason, and sometimes we get to a place where a sit or meditation or a feeling or remembering what it's like to actually find yourself in a moment of awareness. A lot of times, where we get scattered and we just sort of go with what we're comfortable with or what the usual state of affairs is. And so when you're sitting, and you've got your work, what it does is I find that the better sit I have in the morning, that when I go and I sit in the office and I start working, the day seems to go faster, the information seems to flow, and I seem to find myself more aware of a lot of times where other people are at, because I can sit and I can recognize within myself that I'm present, and maybe somebody else isn't so present and they're having a hard time. A client might be having a hard time in their own work life, and they might bring that to me. I always find I'm a publicist, I'm a communication specialist. A lot of times my clients are, they're Order of Canada recipients, or they're people out in the world that are doing big interviews, they're nationally recognized figures, and they may have something going on that when I sit, I can recognize, could be a pattern that they're going through, and I can bring that to the table, and that's a wonderful thing to be able to offer. So it was really great to see you all meditating before this, because I thought, wow, I wish I had sat with you before starting the session. But I did meditate this morning, which was pretty great. Do you all meditate in the morning, or do you have like a sit that you do that? Oh, that's great. That's so perfect. Yes, you had a question.
Yeah. How can we, how does meditation can help you find out what you want to do with life in general, and the choices you want to make for the future, and how it aids with that?
That's a very difficult question. That's a really hard question, and I think for me it's more part of my day-to-day practice. So it's just one tool. I mean, there's other tools that I would recommend in terms of what you want to do with your life. I think having a mentor, finding out, what it is that you value in your life is really important. So for me, I knew I wanted to do PR work and I wanted to do media relations, but a lot of times celebrities would come in and they would want me at the beginning. I would, have to kind of say no, because, I didn't want to be working with a particular type of client that wasn't practically aware of the intentions that they're making in the world. Now, if they were someone that was somebody who was a personality I would work with them. But I like to work with people who have awareness, because I just think it's part of my practice and my work to, I decided right off the bat, what my intention was, is I wanted to make a difference in the world. I wanted to work and use my values. And even early on, I was a news reporter for a number of years. I've interviewed 3 Canadian prime ministers. I've interviewed Wayne Gretzky in the locker room at Maple Leaf Gardens. I've broken national news stories. And, at some point, I just recognized within myself that I wanted to do more, and I wanted to step outside that box. And so, for me, one of the tools that came in right when I started seeing communications was just before I started doing that, I started meditating. I went and did a 10-day silent meditation retreat, and I've since done 15 of those. And, you know, it's really honoring yourself when you sit. And you do find that over time, the information that you need presents itself. You know, and follow the coincidences of life. You know, on the way here, I met this woman from Sawit First Nation, and it was really cool. We just started chatting because I was lost. I hadn't been here before, and I told her I loved her umbrella, and she told me she got it at a powwow in the States, and she couldn't find the same umbrella here. And I asked her about her life, and I found out that her husband, Sam, is going to be drumming at an event that I'm doing communications for in November. So I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. You know, you kind of, you know, you look at that and think, wow, that's a really good sign that I've met someone that I'm going to meet their partner at an event that I'm doing PR for in like a month right outside here in this parking lot. And it was just a beautiful moment we had, and we really connected. And I think when you meditate and you're aware, it builds confidence, and it also allows you to recognize things in life that you might not even see if you're not present. So like reaching out to people and having connection. I also think that as I was coming here, I went to the gym this afternoon, and one of the things that came to me is that, you know, life is really about relationship building, and it's so true they say that, but relationships are really important. And I think I was talking to some people earlier here who were talking about how nice it is to come and sit with other people. And that's really important because that builds relationships and that builds connection. So anyways, a long way to answer your question, but there you go. Yes?
I was wondering, how can you reconcile the ideas that meditation come with of being present with the moment? And usually, I feel like, well, maybe this is my interpretation of meditation, but like meditation is a way of kind of detaching yourself from like gains and like this constant quest for more, and trying to appreciate what's right now. How can you like use this idea in business where the whole point is to gain more usually and to always like strive for better? How could you work with those two together, like a business life?
Yeah, I think about that all the time. You know, I was thinking about that today, you know, and I think, well, I think what you do is, and what I do is, I find moments of gratitude for what I do have. And, you know, I find myself daily looking at, wow, you know, I just got this new contract. This is so exciting. This is going to add value to the world. I am going to be remunerated for it well. And through that, I'm going to be able to make other choices in my life. And hopefully those values and the choices that I make are good ones. And that just keeps manifesting in good and better ways. So I think you can look at it in terms of, you know, is the value material value that you're looking for or seeking, or is it other types of value? So, and if it's other types of value, that brings so much more enrichment into your life than just the material gain that you might have. And you can do more too. You can offer more. You can be more available to your family. You can be more available to your friends. You can, you know, you can explore things that you couldn't otherwise do. You can maybe take time off and, I don't know, go to an art gallery or go to a longer meditation sit, or have the time sometimes with making and earning money that offers you an opportunity to have more time. And I always look at how grateful that I am that I work for myself and I set my own daily schedule. So that's a value that I really enjoy. Yes.
I'm curious if there was a specific experience or situation that led you to sort of feel that meditation is extremely important, and that's something that you want to do more.
Yeah, I went to Dublin, Ireland when I was in my early 30s, and I had a really hard time when I was there because I'd been in a car accident the year before and I was struggling with a lot of physical pain. And so I went to see a massage therapist who gave me a chakra chart, and gave me a meditation to do with that. And it was basically follow the colors and you do this different breath meditation. And it was a little bit of the first time that I had explored meditation for myself. When I was growing up and I was younger, my mother actually was a transcendental meditator. And she had me when she was 45. And her life's path was very Christian. She was Catholic, rosary beads, she was Irish. But she still had the ability to understand and recognize that meditation was important. And I remember her meditating, and that kind of struck me as being an inspiration for myself. And when I went to Dublin and I was having a hard time, I learned this practice, and I found it really helped to ground me while I was there. And so when I came back to Canada years later, I had an opportunity, as I said, to do a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And that just really took me on a completely different path and a different journey. And kind of some of the coincidences around that involve right here in Victoria. I met a waiter at an Earl's, and he was telling me about kindness and that he and his friends were on a journey across Canada to spread one day at a time an act of kindness. And he told me that he had a publicist, and I said, well, who's your publicist? And he told me her name. And I knew her from years of being in Vancouver. I used to work with Raffi, you might know as the children's troubadour, and this was one of Raffi's publicists. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know what? Maybe I can do that. So I phoned this publicist. She was, come to Vancouver, let's meet up. She was working at the Rick Hansen Foundation, and that was the way that I got into PR, was through this chance meeting at an Earl's in Victoria with this person who practiced kindness. I think meditation is a form of practicing kindness as well. They kind of are linked together. And I think for people who are interested in meditation, I think the practice of kindness goes hand in hand with that. Thank you. This has been really, really great. I was so excited again to see you all sitting before. I thought, oh, this will be a great audience. These people are meditators.